if you're infertile, he just can be a donor, not actually doing anything.
In a viral clip that has now dragged Larry Wheels' marriage into public view, Larry's wife, Shayla, made some shocking comments, and Larry immediately snapped.
I'm a fan of The Rock, but no.
The clip surfaced just hours after the powerlifter revealed he never signed a prenup, raising serious questions about what this couple might really be hiding. The clip that broke the internet. Larry Wheels sat across from his wife, Shayla, on his kick stream. They were talking about family planning. The conversation started simple enough. Someone asked if they would consider adoption.
Would you be open to adopting something?
I mean, we have other options, so probably I wouldn't want to adopt. I don't know, I don't want to adopt. No.
Shayla made it clear. She did not want to adopt. She wanted other options. Then she said something that changed everything.
Yes, the wife is Serbian. I'll donate a sample.
It has to be somebody who looks like you, so maybe we get sperm from The Rock.
Larry's face changed. He went from relaxed to serious in seconds. He rubbed his chin. He shifted in his seat. Then he responded.
I'm a fan of The Rock, but no.
Well, what's wrong? Like, if you're infertile, he just can be a donor, not actually doing anything. Just he can be a donor, so we have somebody that resembles you.
I'd have a hard time raising someone else's kid. I don't care who it is, even in The Rock. I don't care who it is.
I don't know about that. Would you say really no?
Larry said he would have a hard time raising someone else's kid. He said he did not care who the donor was, even if it was The Rock. He was not interested. Shayla kept pushing. She explained that The Rock would just be a donor. He would not actually do anything. She wanted someone who looked like Larry. Larry was not having it. The clip went viral on social media within days. People started sharing it everywhere, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok. Everyone had something to say. Some people felt bad for Larry. They said the conversation was private and should have stayed that way. Others thought Shayla crossed a line. They called her comment insensitive. They said she was emasculating him on camera. Then there were the jokes. People called it the biggest L of 2026. They said Larry looked cooked in the clip. They made memes about him trading his fertility for muscles. Some social media users said Shayla was bold to assume The Rock is an infertile too. Another said he thought Shayla was joking until she started explaining it. Some even spoke about divorce. The reaction split down the middle. Half the people online thought Shayla was just being real. The other half thought she went too far. But everyone agreed on one thing. Larry was upset. You could see it on his face. He did not yell. He did not storm off. He did not throw anything or raise his voice, but his body language told the whole story. He went from smiling to stone-faced in seconds. He started rubbing his chin. He looked away from the camera. This was not the first time Larry Wheels had been in the spotlight for something other than lifting weights, but this was different. This was personal. This was about his body failing him in a way he could not fix with more training or more food or more supplements. Larry Wheels is one of the strongest men on the planet. He has broken records in powerlifting. He has competed in bodybuilding. He has millions of followers who watch him lift things that most people cannot even move. But none of that matters when you are sitting across from your wife, and she is suggesting another man father your children. Larry and Shayla's relationship. To understand the full picture of what happened in that viral clip, you need to know about Larry Wheels' relationship with his wife, Shayla Djokovic. Shayla is a Serbian model and influencer based in Los Angeles. Larry met her in 2022 when he slid into her Instagram DMs. At the time, she was living in Serbia. He visited her there shortly after they started talking. Their relationship moved fast. They attended weddings in Serbia together, including her sister's wedding and a friend's wedding in Dispatovac. By October 2022, they were engaged. They got married around early 2024, with Larry announcing it on Instagram. Just got married, introducing Shayla Williams. Their relationship appears supportive and fitness-focused. They work out together. They post about each other on social media. In a 2023 YouTube video called AMRAP with My Fiancé, they trained together, showing off their dynamic as a couple. Larry has expressed deep trust in Shayla. He did not sign a prenup with her, despite being a millionaire from his fitness brand and sponsorships. He said he trusts her. He believes in their commitment, but Larry's romantic history before Shayla was complicated. He had several high-profile relationships that ended badly. His first known girlfriend was Shayla King in the early 2000s. She competed alongside him in powerlifting events. Their relationship was brief and low-key. Then came Chelsea King. From 2014 to 2019, that was a 5-year relationship. That ended in chaos. In July 2019, Chelsea accused Larry of physical, mental, emotional, and narcissistic abuse. She also accused him of cheating on her with both men and women. She released audio clips as evidence, claiming he was controlling and violent. Larry denied the physical abuse allegations. He passed 2 lie detector tests. He countered that the audio showed mutual toxicity, not just him being abusive. The scandal drew massive media attention, but it eventually faded without any legal action. After Chelsea, Larry dated Nicole Drinkwater, a fitness influencer from around 2020 to 2021. Their breakup was discussed in a YouTube short. The reasons included mismatched goals and Larry's focus on his career. There were no major scandals. There was also a brief relationship with Stefania Totolo, a Serbian powerlifter and influencer, around 2021. She was mentioned as a fiancé on TikTok, but the relationship appears to have been short-lived before Larry moved on to Shayla. So when Larry met Shayla in 2022, he was coming off a string of failed relationships. Some had ended in public accusations and drama. Shayla represented a fresh start, a new chapter, someone he trusted enough to marry without a prenup. And then came the viral clip. In that conversation, Shayla suggested using The Rock as a sperm donor because he looks like Larry. She was trying to solve a problem. Larry is infertile. They want children. She does not want to adopt. So what are their options? From one perspective, her suggestion makes sense. The Rock is a famous, successful man who physically resembles Larry. If you are looking for a donor who could produce children that look like your husband, The Rock is not a crazy choice. But from Larry's perspective, the suggestion cut deep. This is a man who has built his entire identity around his body, his strength, his physique, his records, and now his wife is sitting there suggesting another man's genetic material because Larry's body cannot do what it is supposed to do. That is not just a practical conversation about family planning. That is a blow to his sense of self, his masculinity, his identity.
I'd have a hard time raising someone else's kid. I don't care who it is, even in The Rock. I don't care who it is.
Larry said he would have a hard time raising someone else's kid. It does not matter who the donor is, even if it is The Rock. Even if it is someone he admires and respects. The idea of raising a child that is not biologically his is something he struggles with. The internet, as it always does, had opinions. Some people sided with Larry. They said Shayla's comment was insensitive. They said she was emasculating him on camera. They called it humiliating. Others sided with Shayla. They said she was just being practical. She was not trying to hurt him. She was trying to find a solution to a real problem. Larry made choices that led to his infertility. Now they have to deal with the consequences together. There was also a third group that just made jokes. They said Larry traded his fertility for muscles and now has to live with it. They called him Larry Cuck Wheels. They said The Rock was going to rock his wife.
Guys, like, I like them my age, or he's a bit younger than me, a couple years younger than most.
What do you mean guys? There's only one guy for you to like.
No, but I mean, like, in general, like, if I find somebody attractive, then yeah, is that gonna not?
You find other men attractive? Because
I mean, if I acknowledge somebody looks good.
This was not the only time their relationship dynamics showed up online. In another clip, Shayla said she finds other men attractive.
You find other men attractive beside me?
I mean, I can acknowledge somebody looks good.
Larry asked if she finds other men attractive besides him. She said she can acknowledge when somebody looks good. The way she said it, "It's definitely not you," was clearly a joke, but it added fuel to the fire online. Some people use this as evidence that Shayla does not respect Larry. Others said it was just playful banter between a married couple. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Couples tease each other. That is normal. But when your teasing goes viral, people will interpret it however they want. As of February 2026, there is no evidence that Larry and Shayla are divorcing or separating. The viral clip caused a lot of speculation, but nothing concrete has come out. They are still together. They are still posting about each other. They are still figuring out their future. But the conversation about children is not over. Larry's infertility is a real issue. They need to find a solution. Whether that is adoption, a sperm donor, or some other option, they will have to make a decision eventually. And now the whole world is watching. The viral clip raised questions that went beyond the surface. Why is Larry infertile? When did he find out? How long has he known? And most importantly, what led him down this path in the first place? To understand why this conversation happened, you have to go back. Way back, before the records, before the fame, before the steroids. You have to go back to when Larry Wheels was just a kid trying to survive. The making of Larry Wheels. Larry Wheels was born Larry Williams. His father left when he was 1 year old. His mother raised him alone. She did the best she could, but life was hard. She had a history of choosing the wrong men, boyfriends who took more than they gave, men who needed her to take care of them emotionally and financially.
And it started with my father leaving me as a baby. And to add a little bit more to that note, my mother You know, I love my mother. She's always been there for me. She did her job. She raised me up until I was 18 years old and even supports me after that. She did her job well. I love her. But she's had a history of abusive boyfriends. She's always picked, like, to me, the worst of the bunch.
When Larry was 6 years old, something happened that changed his life forever. His mother and her boyfriend got into a violent fight. The boyfriend called the police. When they arrived, he was calm. He had collected himself. Larry's mother was not calm. She was furious about what had just happened to her. She could not hold it together. Larry's mother started attacking the police. She was screaming at them. They found Larry upstairs sleeping in the middle of all this chaos. They took him to the precinct. They drug tested his mother. They found substances in her system, and they decided she was not fit to be a parent. At 6 years old, Larry Wheels entered foster care. He went to live with his grandmother, but his grandmother and his mother had not spoken in years. They had disagreements going back to when his mother was 18. They were not connected at all. Larry was a wild child. He did not like answering to anyone. He was hyperactive. He was all over the place. He made life difficult for his grandmother. When he was 11, she called the foster agency. She could not take it anymore. Between 11 and 12, Larry was placed in 2 different foster homes. He has no complaints about them. They were good to him. They provided for him. He was fed when he was supposed to be fed. He had a roof over his head. He was in school. They did their job. When Larry turned 12, his mother regained custody of him. Shortly after, she told him about a place called St. Martin. It is a U.S. territory island in the Caribbean. They speak French and Dutch there, with some broken English. Larry's mother was tired of New York City. She wanted to start a new life somewhere else. She took Larry to St. Martin. They were poor. Larry's mother was alone. She did not have support from a man. There was only one English school on the entire island, and it was private and expensive. Larry could not attend. For nearly 3 years, from age 12 to almost 15, Larry Wheels did not go to school. On the island, Larry dealt with boredom. He had nothing to do. He also dealt with bullying. The kids who grew up on St. Martin thought Larry was rich because he came from New York. They had seen movies about New York. They assumed everyone who lived there had money. They stole from Larry. They came by his house looking for spare change. They called him names. They picked on him constantly. Larry was sensitive. He did not want to deal with it. He needed a solution. He needed something to fill his time and make the bullying stop. That is when he found weightlifting. He figured it could solve 2 problems at once. It would cure his boredom, and maybe the bullies would leave him alone once he could defend himself. At the time, Larry was a skinny kid. His Adam's apple stuck out from his neck. You could count every rib on his body. He was about 5 feet 9 and 130 pounds. He was, in his own words, scary thin.
I figured picking up weightlifting, working out, could solve 2 problems. My boredom, I had nothing better to do. And then 2, maybe they stopped picking on me once I can defend myself. Because I was a little wimp. I had an Adam's apple protruding 3 inches out from my neck. You know, I had my rib cage showing. You could count every rib in my body. I was like scary thin. I was at 13, maybe 5'9"-ish, like 130 pounds.
Larry did not have money for gym equipment. He started with a broomstick and 2 cinder blocks. He did floor presses. He did bicep curls. The progress was slow. It was like a dial moving 1 click at a time. But it was enough. He watched YouTube videos to learn about working out. With all the time on his hands, he had nothing better to do. Later on, working out became an addiction. Larry loved it. He made posing videos of himself at 13 and 14 years old, shirtless, hitting poses. He was in good shape. It made him feel good. After about a year of training with a broomstick and cinder blocks, he graduated to a weight set from models. At 15, Larry was back in New York City. He jumped between gyms. He picked up boxing. All his friends were at the gym because that was the only place he went. He was so far behind in school that he learned he would not graduate until he was 21, even if he did not miss another grade. He decided to get his GED instead, which he completed at 17. The gym became everything to Larry Wheels. It was the one place where he felt like he belonged. It was the one thing he felt like he was good at, and it was about to lead him down a path that would change his body forever. The dark path to steroids. When Larry was 16, going on 17, he settled down in Washington Heights, New York. He started training at a gym called Jay's Big Gym on 181st Street in St. Nicholas. It was a hardcore bodybuilding gym. It was dirty. They never kept it up. It eventually shut down, but at the time, it was where Larry found his people. At this gym, Larry met someone who would change his life. The guy was a veteran who had served 4 years in the military. He was 22 or 23 years old. He was a party animal. And Larry, who was only 16 at the time, had never been out. He did not drink. He did not do drugs. He was too young for any of that. Larry and this man, became workout partners. They trained together for about a year, but there was something deeper going on. Larry had grown up without a father. He had grown up without father figures or mentors. He was looking for that in someone. This older guy seemed more experienced and wiser. Larry listened to everything he said. He went along with whatever he did. He figured this man knew better. With all the negativity in Larry's life at the time, his living situation, not being in school, everything else, this guy was the only good thing. When Larry saw him, he was funny. He encouraged Larry to get out of his shell and be more social. But this path was dark. What Larry did not realize was that his mentor was not just a party animal. He was into drugs, hard drugs, and he started introducing Larry to them.
What I didn't realize about him is that he was a party animal and he introduced me to a lot of drugs. And it's not his fault that he introduced me to it, it's my fault because I didn't say no. I always say that to people when they ask me about my story, about that part of my life. It's like, I could have said no, but I didn't. So it wasn't all his fault. But the point is, he was an influence in my life that let me do hard drugs. Drugs that I should have never touched.
Larry does not blame this man entirely. He takes responsibility for his own choices. He says he could have said no, but he did not. The point is that this guy was an influence in his life who led him to hard drugs. Drugs he should have never touched. Larry does not regret it because it made him who he is today. He learned a lot from that experience, but he also saw where this man was headed. At 22 or 23, the same age Larry is now in the video, this guy was on a path to nowhere. The last time Larry checked, the man was homeless. Larry saw himself following in those footsteps. He was going down the same road. Then came the last thing this man introduced. Him to steroids. Larry was getting hooked on the hard drugs. He was enjoying them. He will not lie about that. He liked that time in his life, but he also knew it needed to stop. If he kept going, he was starting to worry about where he would be in a few years. He liked it too much, and that scared him. When this guy introduced him to steroids, Larry was already hooked on working out. He was already dedicated to getting bigger and stronger. Getting bigger and stronger was the only thing he felt he was good at. He was not good at studying. He did not push himself to do anything else because he did not care about anything else. The gym was all he knew. All he cared for, all he was passionate about. Before he ever took steroids, Larry looked at where he was naturally. He compared himself to other teenagers who were powerlifting and bodybuilding. He looked great. He was strong naturally, and that made him crave even more. He was craving the feeling of being good at something so badly that he decided to go for it. Larry knew the risks. He was ready to die for it. He just wanted to be good at something so badly. Nothing else in his life fulfilled him, like working out and getting better at the gym did. When Larry decided to inject himself for the first time, he made a deal with himself. He would do this, but he would stop everything else. He would quit the hard drugs. Steroids would be his new vice. It might have been the lesser evil at the time, but that does not make it good. This is where Larry Wheels' journey with steroids began. At 16 or 17 years old, in a dirty gym in Washington Heights, with a mentor who would end up homeless, Larry Williams stuck a needle in his body for the first time. He would not stop for nearly a decade. The price of being the strongest. Larry Wheels went on to become one of the most famous strength athletes in the world. He broke records in powerlifting. He competed in bodybuilding. He built a massive following on social media. His fitness brand, personal record lifestyle made him a millionaire. He got sponsorships. He got the life he always dreamed of, but all of it came at a cost. In August 2022, Larry announced that he was stopping steroids after 10 years of use. He had started about a year and a half into his training when he was around 16 or 17. For a decade, he had been using anabolic steroids continuously. Now his body was paying the price. The consequences were severe. Larry revealed that he could no longer produce testosterone naturally. He had tried post-cycle therapy to recover, but it did not work. His body was permanently damaged. He switched to testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, taking about 175 milligrams per week to maintain normal testosterone levels around 700 nanograms per deciliter. When he stopped the heavy steroid use, Larry lost 20 to 30% of his strength. He dropped 30 to 40 pounds of weight. The physical changes were dramatic, but the internal damage was even worse. In an Instagram post from October 2022, Larry shared photos showing how steroid abuse had aged his face. He said the effects were reversed once he stopped, but the message was clear. The drugs had taken a toll on his body that went far beyond muscle gains. The long-term health effects of steroid abuse are well documented: hormonal disruption, cardiovascular damage, liver problems, and for many men, infertility. When you flood your body with synthetic testosterone for years, your natural production shuts down. Sometimes it never comes back. This is what happened to Larry Wheels. After a decade of steroid use, his body could no longer make testosterone on its own, and without natural testosterone production, sperm production typically drops to near zero. Larry became infertile. He talked about this openly in various videos and podcasts over the years. In a 2023 podcast, he discussed his early steroid history. revealing that he had used up to 1,200 milligrams of testosterone along with other compounds like trenbolone. He said he wanted to look like a comic book hero. His philosophy was more is better. In the same period, Larry mentioned wanting to have kids with his then fiancée, Shayla. He said he wanted children very, very soon. This year, next year. He acknowledged that he had pushed his body to the absolute extreme. The implication was clear. His steroid use was creating problems for his family, planning. In June 2024, Larry quit bodybuilding again after relapsing on steroids for business reasons. He said going back on TRT was the best decision he had made in a long time. He felt great, he looked great, but the underlying damage remained. Larry has been honest about the consequences of his choices. In multiple videos, he has warned young people about the dangers of steroid use. He talks about the mental health effects, like anxiety. He talks about the physical aging. He talks about the dependency that develops when your body can no longer function without synthetic hormones. Larry cannot tell people not to use steroids, but he can tell them to educate themselves on the risks, because the risks are serious and they are not talked about enough. He says that if you are going to use steroids, you need to dedicate your life to it. You need to be willing to die for it, because that is the kind of drive and passion required. Without it, you have no business putting those substances in your body. Looking back at himself at 17, Larry reflects on his mindset. There were other good things in his life. There was other light for him, but he was not far enough in his personal development to see it. He could not see past the darkness. Larry Wheels built his entire identity around being strong. He sacrificed his health, his hormones, and his fertility to become one of the strongest men in the world. And now, sitting across from his wife, he has to face the reality of what that sacrifice cost him. He cannot have children naturally. His body cannot do what most men's bodies do automatically. And his wife is sitting there suggesting that maybe The Rock could be a donor. You can understand why he got upset. Larry Wheels went from a skinny kid with a broomstick and cinder blocks to one of the strongest men on the planet. He overcame foster care, bullying, drug addiction, and poverty to build an empire. He broke records. He made millions. He married a supermodel. But steroids took something from him that he can never get back. His ability to have children naturally, his hormonal health, a piece of his identity. When his wife suggested using The Rock as a sperm donor, Larry got upset. Not crazy, not out of control. Just upset, because for a man who has sacrificed everything to build his body, being told that his body cannot do what other men's bodies do is a painful reminder of the price he paid. So here's the real question. Was Larry right to shut this down publicly, or did the internet expose cracks that were already there? Let me know what you think in the comments section. For more videos like this, click on this next card on your screen.